that the ball will get to the top of the water when the ball realizes it is the water. The scale of the movement and the speed of movement of this conspiracy now, as it puts in more and more surveillance, more and more control, more and more centralization of power, etc. I've been saying for years now, that is not about even gathering more power. It is about defending the control that's already there, because they understand. I mean, if I can go to a psychic in England in 1990 to be told through this psychic that this vibrational change was coming and it was going to create a spiritual revolution, I mean, are the Illuminati families not going to know that this spiritual change, this vibrational alarm clock is coming? I mean, of course they are, and they've known about it for a long time. And so what we're looking at is when you move the power from we're controlling, we're going to give more power, to we must impose more and more control to stop this happening. They're not in a, if you like, a proactive situation now, as they push this Orwellian state on. They're in a defensive situation, trying to keep the lid on human ignorance as this vibrational change brings it to the surface. And, you know, compared with consciousness, this Illuminati, I mean, they're flies on an elephant's back, you know. And they're going to get removed. And, you know, I think it's not about winning the game, it's not about losing the game. It's about realizing the nature of the game and the fact that it's not about winning and losing, it's just about experiencing. And as these pyramids of control, certainly the lower levels first, start getting picked off by this vibrational change and people start to see things differently. You know, as I've been saying for 20 years, you know, look at a pyramid. You know, the capstone's the place of the power. No, it's not. The capstone's up there because the rest of the pyramid's over in the bugger up there. The rest of the pyramid moves away. Where's the capstone going to do? It's going to crash to the floor. There's nothing holding it up. We're holding up the structure that is our own control system. And I used to tell a story years ago. You'll remember, Jim, Larry Grayson, the comedian in England, right? And I knew Larry towards the end of his life. He used to do big shows on the BBC. And I was invited to his memorial service at Covent Garden after he died. And there's another comedian in Britain called Roy Hudd. And he did this presentation about Larry's life. And he told this story, and I sat there and I thought, whoa, that is so profound when applied to what we're talking about. Roy Hudd said that Larry Grayson had told him this story, that in the days of the Music Hall type theatre, or the last vestiges of it, Larry was in an all-male show going around Britain. And he was the woman in it, because he used to dress up as a woman, Larry. And the final scene of the show, the final part of the show, was all the men ran on the stage dressed as sailors, singing Rule Britannia, you know. Rule Britannia, Britannia rules the waves and all that stuff. You know, Britain, obviously rule everything. Anyway, so as the song's reaching its climax, all these sailors climb on each other's backs and form a pyramid on the stage, right? And then Larry Grayson came on, dressed as Britannia with the gown and the helmet and the sword, and was manhandled up to the top of the pyramid of these men, you know, with the big finish with the sword. And he said one night, things seemed to be going rather well, he said, until one of the sailors in the bottom left-hand corner got a cough, right? And the cough got worse and worse and worse until he couldn't hold his place in the pyramid anymore. And he's standing on the stage at the bottom of the pyramid, this guy, you know, Ethel Jones and Charlie Smith. And in the end, he couldn't hold it anymore because the cough got too bad. And he had to step out of the pyramid. What happened was Larry Grayson at the top, symbolic of this Illuminati, ended up in the second row because the whole pyramid collapsed because one little guy on the left-hand bottom corner got a cough.
Lovely.
You know, the pyramid power, in one way, is all roads from the base of the pyramid lead up to the point of the pyramid, and that's how the control.
The thing that I would like to connect up with here is, it's so interesting what you're saying, and we passionately agree with your thesis here. And one of the things which I love about your work is that it's like, in order to control, or rather, one good way to control somebody is to lie to them. And therefore, if somebody, if you're being lied to, then someone is trying to control you. These things are intimately connected.
Right.
And we are being convinced that this reality is all that there is, that these are just animated hunks of meat that last for 70 years and 10, and then that's our lot. And then either we're pushing up daisies, or we go to heaven or go to hell, which is another trap and another lie.
Absolutely.
And meanwhile, there's some fascinating things going on behind the scenes. And as you must have known from your own research and your own contacts and your own conversations, that you've got a magical component to the controllers, meant in the real definition of the word magic. Black magic ceremonies, rituals, sacrifices, all kinds of things that you and I don't want to know about, but actually this is part of the truth of the matter. This is what they do. They evoke jinns, they do strange things, they influence people at a distance.
I did an enormous amount of stuff about that in the late 90s.
And it's not pleasant to look at, and it's real. And then there's another aspect of this, which is something that's been coming at us quite a lot from black projects insiders, which is not the black magic, but the black technology, which was well stated by Richard Hoagland, who told us that he'd had a phone call from an insider who said that they would rather lose an American city than give up their new physics. And this new physics, we were told by somebody who we met in Thailand in October. We've given him the pseudonym of Jake Simpson. We know the guy very well. He said that the state of black physics at the moment is, when I say black physics, it's like secret physics, as in black operations.
Yeah.
Those guys are not all evil people, but they're on the inside. And they're playing these games with all the resources and all the knowledge that is denied the public domain.
Right.
10,000 years ahead of public sector physics, let's say, accelerating away from public sector knowledge at the rate of 1,000 years a year. And I checked those figures with him. That's a lot of zeros. 10,000 years ahead. And he told us, for instance, that the technology exists to phase shift soldiers, special forces soldiers, so that they can walk through walls.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Which is quite...
I've heard that.
You've heard that?
Yeah.
That's... Yeah, it's an interesting corroboration. These little stories pop up here and there in different researchers. And
I think the thing is, Bill, that the reason for the vast acceleration is there's a critical point where you understand reality, and from that point the potential just absolutely soars, whereas because of the suppression of science in the public arena, they're nowhere near yet that line where the potential soars. So in the secret projects they've crossed that line, and therefore they're accelerating away at the rate you talk about from mainstream scientific understanding.
That's exactly right.
And they're working with interdimensional intelligences to have gotten to that.
Absolutely
place. That's
right.
what it's really a key. And ETs, negative, service to self, ETs basically that they're working with, and certainly becoming aware of the veil behind the veil. Because you can talk about consciousness and mind as we have here. But if you want to lay out, if you want to understand what's really going on, you do have to talk about ETs, and you have to talk about interdimensional entities, and also entities that don't have physical bodies.
Sure, that's what I was saying earlier. We've got to do this on all levels because it's operating.
And the
on all
best
levels.
presentation which I heard of the answer to one of the most important questions, and I can't remember whether it was yourself or Jordan Maxwell, or perhaps both, who said, how could humans do the things that they do to other humans on this planet as they seem to really be doing? How could we be trashing this planet, our home, in the way that we are at the behest of the controllers? How could humans be doing this? And the answer is that actually they're not human at the highest level. Is this something that you said, or was that?
Oh,
Jordan
that
who
was
said that?
that's a theme that I've been talking about for a while, because this reality, we keep talking about different levels. This reality operates on different levels. And you've got the wave vibrational level, you've got the electromagnetic level, you've got the visible light level, and you've got the digital level. And when you talk about the level of advancement and potential that you mentioned earlier, it is a cinch to, if you look at where the development of artificial intelligence is moving now within this